Welcome to the Carriker Chronicles, the People's Show. Take the Post of Husker Nation, brought to you by Nebraska Spine Hospital. Today I'm joined by former Heisman Trophy winner and a two-time national champion, Mr. Johnny Rodgers. How you doing, Johnny?
Doing fine, Adam. How are you doing?
I'm doing glorious, man. The new year's almost upon us. Can't be worse than the previous year. So I'm looking forward to that. But let's look back at the previous season with the Huskers.
I hope it can't be worse
than
the
man.
previous year.
Oh, man. It's only uphill, right?
Well, yeah, it depends. I don't know. These viruses are just seem like they're getting worse and worse, so I don't know when they're going to go away.
Yeah, I don't know. I meant not uphill. I meant it can only go up from here. But talking about the Huskers season this past year, I know you were able to catch some of the games, and obviously it wasn't where anyone wanted it to be. But what are your thoughts as an overall whole from the Huskers season this past year?
Well, I think this is just very disappointing that we're at where we're at, but we're on a building situation. And I think that everyone figures that we're going to make a comeback because football is life in Nebraska. People are really counting on being able to have bragging rights around the country at some point in time. And I think other recruits around the country right now, probably really good recruits, are probably thinking about coming to Nebraska because they want to be part of the building process because they know we are building and going in the right direction.
Now, the Huskers, this has been talked about, but I wanted to ask you briefly about it. The Huskers had an opportunity to go to a bowl game. The coaches let the players vote. Players voted no to not go to a bowl game. Did you have any sort of thoughts or reaction to that?
Well, I don't know what the real motivation is, Adam. I do remember initially we were getting reprimanded by the Big Ten because we weren't playing and we wanted to play. And so we were anxious to play more games. And then at the end, when they asked us to play, we decided not to play. So that's a big discrepancy there. I think it's just because it's just been a drooling season and everything has been incomprehensible that maybe they just want to go back to the drawing board. I figure if I've only only won 3 games, then I would probably want to play more and take a trip someplace. But I really don't know what the outside or the inside motivation is. But at my age, at that time, I'm ready to play all the time, ready to do it. So I don't know what it could be.
What are your thoughts? And it's been well documented, well talked about, even on this show. Frost has done a pretty good job, him and his staff, of recruiting guys. But they've had quite a few players that have left the program. The transfer portal makes it incredibly easy. We've had more players than any other team in the Big Ten that have left. Sometimes that can be a good thing. Sometimes that's part of building. Sometimes it's not a great thing. What's your perception when you hear something like that?
Well, I've been rather concerned about it myself, too, and I just don't know what the environment and the atmosphere is around of how the guys are thinking. But it does not look good for us around the country in recruiting when we have so many guys that are thinking of leaving, and they don't know what the culture is around. And I don't know what the culture is there. I can't imagine myself just looking back my own history of leaving once we got started, but, we were winning, though. So it really makes a difference if you're winning and if you think you're going to win, or continue to win, going into the right direction that you want to do it. We knew we were going into the right things, and we didn't have those type of problems at all. It was just unimaginable to be able to leave. But if a player thinks that they're not really going to get the opportunities that they're capable of doing, and we're not going, the strategies are not relying with them, they're ready to go do something else while they can.
Now, we don't really fully know what's going on. I mean, the 5 of the players that left this year were all from Florida. I know the players have basically been quarantined, couldn't go home, couldn't see family. Maybe that had something to do with it. In a unique year, they're from out of state. They just got really, really, really homesick. And I grew up in the state of Washington. I was a Husker fan, but I could relate to that, and I wasn't even quarantined. So, or maybe it's a sign of something else. Who knows? But let's talk about, because the Rutgers game did just happen. And in my opinion, in the first half, you saw what drove Husker fans bonkers this year. Turnovers, fumbles, interceptions, penalties. Then in the second half, you saw us just run it right down Rutgers' throat, basically dominate the game, especially in the fourth quarter, because there was even tie going in the fourth quarter, offensively, defensively. So you got kind of a glimpse of what we've been wanting to see, hopefully for 3 years. What are your thoughts on the Rutgers game? And do you think that's kind of what we'll see in the future, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, throughout the season, Scott, Adam, we've been doing pretty good till we shoot ourselves in the foot.
Yep.
One of the things that we had on our team is that we couldn't make mistakes. Definitely didn't get penalties that we caused on ourselves. That was one of the first things that Devaney kept us on all the time. We couldn't really beat ourselves, and we didn't make mistakes. In the game of the century, I think with two very quality teams, I think we had one penalty against both teams, and that was against us for an offside penalty, and that was it. I think that we really just have to have more confidence in the guys really knowing the consequences involved of the getting the penalties and the turnovers. I see lots of times that our line is breaking down, though. Martinez is having a big time because a lot of the breakdowns in the line that he's getting credit for the fumbles, but they're not getting the attention on the breakdowns that are up front. But with all the guys leaving and things in turmoil, and I really don't know what the culture is down there, but they have to be coming together. And once they come together, you can see they have the talent to put it together. But I'm not quite sure they're really one unit and one team with one goal at this time.
Gotcha. Now, I'm curious your thoughts on Scott Frost offense, because there's, guys that are like, hey, he needs to tweak this, he needs to do that differently, things of that nature. Obviously, he had success at Oregon, at UCF. This situation, every situation's different. This one's a little bit different. They had a decent offensive output, total yards-wise. They were fourth in the Big Ten at 391 yards per game, yet they were 100th in the country with just over 20 points per game. So what are your thoughts on Scott Frost's style of offense in the Big Ten Conference?
Well, I think we're on the right track, and like I said, if we don't have our offensive line, is not really tough, not really getting it done. It's going to make it really difficult to almost get anything done. But our Martinez is showing, and McCaffrey both together are showing their abilities to be able to move the ball. We got decent receivers to be able to catch the ball. We need the line to hold. And we need a defense that's going to really to keep guys from moving the ball on us. I think we're halfway going in the right direction, but it really makes a difference on what the culture is. And I really can't say what the culture is with the guys that are leaving as frequently as they are, and the quality of the players that we're losing. Some of these guys are going to be hard to replace, and they're still young enough. They're going to go somewhere else and be a benefit. And if they do go someplace else, I want them to be able to say good things about us. And I don't know what they're saying.
Now, you mentioned the receivers and things of that nature. I watch a guy like Wan'Dale Robinson. He kind of gets moved all over, slot, receiver, running back. They don't have him returning kicks, and maybe that's something they'll have him do in the future. Cam Taylor-Britt did a pretty good job this year. He's a good player in his own right. Do you see a little bit of yourself in a guy like Wan'Dale Robinson? Because he's a bright spot for the Huskers. And what are your thoughts on a guy like Wan'Dale?
Oh, yeah, I think Wan'Dale is a great player. They put a lot on him, but he's really a good player, and we need more players like him. We need more breakaways. People are going to break away, and we do need that on punt returns and kickoffs. I don't see that we're really focusing enough on our special teams, that we're getting any points at all from the special teams. But Wan'Dale is an all-purpose back. He can play almost all the positions, wide receiver, running back, slot, wherever you might need him to play. He can run punt returns and kickoffs back too. It's just a matter of how much you really want to put on him. But he's a very good player. We need more like him. And with his enthusiasm and mindset, we know clearly what he's thinking. He's not thinking about leaving. He's thinking about staying and doing the right thing. So I just think we need to focus on developing other players like that with that same type of mindset, leadership that he's putting out there. But we definitely need more things to be able to do. And like I said, special teams, we need to focus. I can't imagine that when we down the ball on the 5-yard line on a kickoff return.
Yeah.
I don't think we downed any balls ever. It was just, if you got 5 yards already, you got a head start.
Yeah.
You might as well take off. Ain't no way in the world you figure you're not going to get to the 20 or 25 with the opportunity to do a big one. But you have to take those opportunities, and you have to be, you have to feel that you can do it, and you're just a matter of just going to pop in any time. I mean, when we were playing, we just didn't. We had fun because we knew we were going to be able to do the things that we were trying to do, and it was just a matter of time that we were going to get them done. But if you don't try, you fail every single time.
So, I mean, you talked about special teams a bit there. So you talked about the return game a little bit, but the Huskers have struggled for the past 3 years on special teams, and you mentioned focusing more on it. Is there something schematically you see that could be adjusted? Is it just they need to focus more on it? I remember when Frank Beamer was at Virginia Tech, it was hokey ball, man. He would play a bunch of starters on those special teams. I mean, what are your thoughts as a guy? You had the return versus Oklahoma. You had man, woman, and child. Did he put them in the aisle? You had the return versus Alabama in the Orange Bowl for the national championship game. As a guy who had a lot of success on special teams yourself, what do you see? How can they improve special teams?
Well, the special team is no different than offense and defense and special teams. Special teams should have just as much time put into it as your offense and your defense, because you score points on special teams, you score points on defense, and you score points on offense. So you really have to focus on and have that mindset that whether you're going to run it all the way back or put yourself in position to be able to score, but it's a scoring mechanism that we're not utilizing at all on punt returns or kickoff returns. We have a field goal, so that's great, but the punt returns and the kickoff, we should develop that to that serious. It's going to either get us a touchdown or in good field position, so we're going to get a touchdown and score soon. We're going to score. We should darn near be thinking that every single time that they kick it, we're going to get it in position to get us 3. We don't always have to have the touchdown. We can get half of it, but we're going to get something because we're moving the ball on special teams, and the guys know it, and they want it bad. Just like I said, I can't imagine. You know how sometimes you go back on a kickoff return and the ball is kicked in the end zone, and the guy comes back and he sticks his arm out and tells the other guy to hold up. You know how they do that?
Yep.
I'd have broke his arm. Ain't no way in the world we're holding up. I know it, you know it, and the fans know it, that we're going to run. We coming out every single time. And I think that what's confusing is that they don't know when they're going to really have to really put their best in. They don't know if he's going to fair catch or if he's going to bring it out. And more times than not, they're not. So the time that they do, they're not ready to really put their all into it. But when you know you're going to do it every single time, if you got an opportunity that you're going to take it, then you're really up for it, and it really puts you in a whole different mindset than if it's just so sometimey.
Yeah, I mean, you would know a lot more about returning kicks than I would, and I'm with you. I do think, with the kickoffs, first of all, you can fair catch anywhere, not just in the end zone anymore in the kickoff returns.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, and you get it at the 25. I think that changes the mentality a little bit nowadays, but I'm with you, man. And again, I know nothing about returning kickoffs or punts, but my attitude would be, I'm going, and eventually I'm going to break it. This coming from a guy who has 0 kickoff and punt returns.
Every single time
yeah.
you get it. This is a matter of opportunities.
Yep.
If you got an opportunity to throw a bomb, you're going to get up in the line and you're going to audible it out and put it in, even if it wasn't a play call, because it's an opportunity, and we have to create the opportunity, and you can't create opportunity if you're going to down the ball.
Yeah. It's just that mindset, right?
Catch on a punt return.
Yeah.
We're not fair catching it. Why am I let my men come all the way back down here, set up a wall, and get ready and put their run down the field trying to keep the guy from coming down and hitting you, and then all of a sudden you're going to fair catch, and they 5 yards from you.
Yeah.
And we did all that work.
It's just that mindset.
Next time they
attacking
might not
mindset.
do it because they don't know what you're going to do.
Yep.
But they know you coming every single time. They can put their best in it every single time, and you can see that look in the eye too. I'm telling you, like Richie Glover and them, when time came for it, they were just as ready as I was. Yep. Everybody was just as ready as I was. I wasn't the only one getting pumped up to put them back. Everybody was getting pumped up because they had things to do.
Yep. I'm with you, man. It's just that aggressive mindset. But I want to thank you for joining me. I want to wish you a Merry early Christmas and a Happy New Year and a fresh, hopefully much different year next year, Johnny.
All right, go Big Red.
All right, thanks for joining me.
Well, we get it to win it. Every day's game day. Not every other game, but every day.
I like it when you text me that. He'll text me every day's game day when we're texting each other. I love that. All right, thanks for joining me. Until next time, Husker Nation.
Buddy. Thank you. Bye
Go Big Red. He said goodbye. Throw the bones. I love interviewing Johnny. Thanks again to our sponsor, Nebraska Spine Hospital. Ladies and gentlemen, when it's your spine, you do not want to mess around, and experience matters. That's why you can trust the experts at Nebraska Spine Hospital, the region's only spine-specific hospital. They are the best at what they do.